Ndewo, Keduki Mere. Hello, how you doing? Glad everybody is here and I'm able to continue on with our studies of the Igbo language of Nigeria, my ancestral tongue. So I'm still a little over a year into studying the language and learning it slowly but surely, but hopefully on my way to being fluent one day. I think persistence will pay off, so I try to study daily and do the best that I can here in learning this great tongue of the ancestors of most African Americans. And so just going to go through 10 quick words we typically do, so a short video, and we'll call it a day at that point. So again, for those that have been along with me on this journey, Ah-Fau, which means thank you, and Ekele, meaning congratulations. So let's go ahead and we'll begin in just a second. I changed up the picture this time for the video. This is me and Richard and Prince and Silas and Akuim. These are all students back in 2018 when I had my first trip to Nigeria in 2018. I was blessed to do a 2-week lecture along with my traveling partner from the U.S., Dale Ruffin, as we were able to teach for about 2 weeks at the Great Nigerian Christian Institute in Uyo, Akwa Ibom, Nigeria. You can see we had a good time, and for these 3, or actually 4 gentlemen, we still keep in touch to this very day. So that was summertime back in 2018. Let's go ahead and let's get started on the 10 words and we'll go from there. And while we're thinking about that and getting set, remember the 4 divisions of time in Igbo thought. Remember, Otutu is the word for morning. The afternoon word, in other words, noon to about 3:59 p.m. is A-Hee-Hay, which means afternoon. In Igbo thought, the evening starts at 7 p.m. and that would be mgbede. At 4 p.m., excuse me. The evening starts at 4 p.m., which is mgbede. And then 7 p.m. starts the nighttime hours, so it's abalị. So again, Otutu is morning, ehihie is afternoon, mgbede is evening, and abalị is night. So you'll hear me say those 4 words quite a bit as we go through these videos on time. So really the first word then again today is ehihie, which is afternoon. And I'm just going again to use the English pronunciation of the letters. Of course, they're pronounced differently in Igbo, but we'll just keep it simple and use English pronunciation. So an E, you make an A sound. An I, you make an E sound. That's why you hear me saying ehihie for afternoon. And again, this is also a special word because you actually don't pronounce one of the vowels. And I don't know the hard and fast rule on that, but some vowels you don't pronounce in certain words. And in this case, you don't pronounce A-He-Hay. You don't pronounce that last I. So again, it's A-He-Hay for afternoon. One more time. A-He-Hay, afternoon. All right, let's talk about annual. Remember, we're talking about time frame, so annual. So something that happens every year would be Kwa-Fau. And I'll say it slowly. Kwa-Fau, which is annual. And again, the Igbo is just like, I like to use the example in English where you have contractions, like when you put do and not together, you get don't. So sometimes Igbo does the same thing. That is that you eliminate one of the letters. Like in this case, you're eliminating the second A. And so instead of saying Kwa-afọ, you're basically just saying Kwa-Fau for annual. And that little O, that O with the dot underneath, that's a diacritic. So that gives the O a different sound. So it sounds more like an auto, like AU. So that's why you hear me saying Kwa-Fau, Kwa-Fau, meaning per year. And to break that down for memory's sake, Kwa, K-W-A, means per, and Afo means year. So you're just saying per year, which means annual. So again, it's Kwa-Fau for annual. All right, moving on to calendar. Calendar is just a modified way of saying the English word. So it's basically kalenda for calendar. Kah-Lain-Dah for calendar. if you notice something, when you pronounce some of these words, they sound a whole lot like Black vernacular English. That's because most of us are Igbos, and we brought in our accent into the language that we speak. So that's why it sounds very familiar if you're really listening closely to me, of the way that we actually pronounce words in America. We just forgotten that we had taken it from the Igbo language, and that's our accent that we still have today. So calendar, to say it in Igbo, would be kalenda. Kalenda for calendar. And again, that E makes an A sound. And that's why you hear me saying it like a little hard A in there. So it's kalenda for calendar. Again, kalenda, calendar. All right, daytime. Now again, remember, Igbo is a lot like Spanish, where you have, and in other language that is, where you have the subject and then you describe it after you say the subject word. So again, in Igbo, you would say something like car blue. Spanish, you would say car blue. So same thing in Igbo. So you would say car blue. So in other words, to say daytime, you're basically saying time day instead. Okay. All right. So to say daytime, you would say Oh-Gay ubochị. Oh-Gay ubochị is daytime. And how you break that down is Oh-Gay is time, and ubochị means day. So you're saying described as day means daytime. All right. So again, it's Oh-Gay ubochị, daytime. All right. Decade. You've already seen that word Ah-Fau, which means year. And Erie, the second word, means 10. So you're basically saying year 10, which means decade. All right. And so this is another one that's a little tricky because you drop one of the vowels. You drop that first I when you pronounce it. So you're not actually saying Ah-Fau Ree, but I think if you do say Ah-Fau Ree, people still would understand what you're saying. But the common way of saying it would be Ah-Fau Ree, which means decade. Ah-Fau Ree, decade. But again, you know, when I've been studying my books, Igbo 101 and other books, that we're dropping these vowels to make it pronounced a different way. That's really pretty much your option, but I just try to do what the people commonly do. So, you know, can really have a real conversation with people. So if you said Ah-Fau Ree, it wouldn't exactly be wrong. But, you know, probably the more common way you hearing it from other people would be Ah-Fau Ree for decade. So that means Ah-Fau Ree, decade. Remember Ah-Fau, A-F, and you have the O with the diacritic underneath it. That means year, Ah-Fau, and Erie means 10. So again, year 10 is a decade. So one more time and we'll move on. Ah-Fau Ree, decade. Ah-Fau Ree, decade. All right. Again, I mentioned this to you earlier. One of the major divisions of time to say evening is mgbede for evening. Mgbede for evening. All right. We'll move on to hour. And the same word for hour, for clock, and for o'clock is all the same. It's elekere for hour. So I'll do it slowly. Remember, the E's, when you pronounce them, are just like A's in English. So it's elekere for hour. Elekere, hour. Or you're saying elekere, clock, or elekele, o'clock. It all means the same thing. All right, so again, elekere, hour. All right, another way of saying hour is closer to what English speakers would say is awa for hour. Awa, hour. Again, awa, hour. All right, midnight. You're basically saying it literally. What you're saying to say midnight, you're literally saying middle of the night. So midnight. So that would be etiti-abalị, midnight. Now say it slow. Remember the E's turn to A's and the I's turn to E's when you try to pronounce it. And that I with the dot underneath, again, that's a diacritic. That means you say it sharply, meaning you raise your voice. All right, so it's etiti-abalị, etiti-abalị. So again, etiti-abalị. etiti-abalị, midnight. So again, etiti-abalị, midnight. So again, etiti means middle, and abalị means night. So you just said middle of the night, which in English we'll call midnight. All right. So again, one more time, we'll move on. Almost at the very end of the video too. Etiti-abalị, midnight. All right. This is the last one. And it's to describe a minute, just like a minute on the clock is what you're saying. And it's Um-Pea-Lea-Pea Oh-Gay. And we'll say it real slow. Um-Pea-Lea-Pea Oh-Gay is minutes. And basically you just said Um-Pea-Lea-Pea, which means short, and Oh-Gay means time. So you just said a short amount of time, which in the Igbo mind means a minute. So again, it's Um-Pea-Lea-Pea Oh-Gay. One more time and we'll end the video. Um-Pea-Lea-Pea Oh-Gay. And that will be pretty much it. So I want to greet you properly on the way out of this video. Thanks again for joining me. Remember, thank you is Imela. And of course, I want to say to you, Chukwu Gozigi. That means God bless you. And one more word, meaning goodbye, means Ka-Mesia. Goodbye. All right. Have a good night. All right. Bye-bye.